Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is HD's StarCraft and I'm proud to bring you guys another Heart of the Swarm broadcast. And allow me to introduce the players at the top left hand corner. This is going to be the red Protoss and his name is Oroku or Oroku. And as this cast goes on, I'll probably end up changing the pronunciation several times depending on what flows off better on my tongue. I think Oroku sounds pretty good. And down in the bottom right hand corner, we do have the blue Terran player. His name is Dreadlord 669. And so it is going to be a Protoss versus Terran. I do want to go ahead and say that the name of the player playing under the account Oroku is actually Dox. So I might call him Dox probably instead of Oroku. And it is going to be a Protoss versus Terran. This is recent as of the latest patch 6. And as I told you guys before, I want to go ahead and get as many recent HOTS replays out there as possible. I just got sent a pretty big replay pack courtesy of Maynard, awesome fellow out in Australia. And these are pretty high-level replays, so I'm excited to see what's going to happen. We've got two players here that honestly don't have much of a name on the map, but they're, you know, pretty talented. They're very high up on the C ladder, and you know, I'm interested to see how this game is going to go down. It's always fun to go ahead and cast games that aren't necessarily, you know, you've got the big spotlight player here, and then you've got the other guy, and then you kind of want to see how the big spotlight player crushes the little man. So this is going to be a little bit more of a, I guess you could say, balanced cast. I'm excited once again to see what's going to happen. I will be casting some more Wings of Liberty. I know you guys really want to see Wings of Liberty games, and I do as well want to cast Wings of Liberty, but seeing as how you know, there's more HOTS replays now being sent in to me. I want to, like I said before, get the HOTS games out of the way first, and then I'll be doing a couple more of the high-profile pro versus pro Wings of Liberty matchups. Anyways, we do have a, it looks like just a gateway and a core, two gases here from Dox, and that's actually pretty common. Nowadays in Protoss play, you will see two gas openings against not only Terran but also against Zerg, because sometimes Protoss really want to get that mothership core out even earlier than you typically do, and you know, sometimes I've even seen them get it out before the natural expansion. It really depends on the playstyle, but I think what Oroku's going to do here is probably go for an expand, and then probably, no, he's actually going to go for the mothership core. Alright, so there we go, making use of the two gases. Sorry, I'll try to stick with one name here. I'll call him Dox. So Dox here, gonna go for the Moko, and we'll see what kind of damage you can make with that. The thing about the Moko though is against Marines, not very effective. Against any early anti-air units such as the Queen or the Marine, it's not a very good unit. It can kill off a handful of Marines, but once the Terran gets more than 4, it's very hard. And look at this from Dox. Wow, he gets inside the base and he blocks the reactor. Oh, that's pro right there. That's good stuff. And look at the consequences of that. He has to kill off this pylon because the reactor takes forever to build, so he ends up losing all this mining time. And where did that heroic young Padawan probe go? I think it might have died. Oh man, it died, but it did the most valiant mission that a probe could ever hope and aspire to do, and it completely blocked off the reactor. And in Heart of the Swarm, that's so big because it prevents the Widow Mines from coming out. And we can see here that Dreadlord was obviously going to go for Widow Mines, so that's a very nice opening right there from Dox. Golf clap right there. And where is this Moko going? Down in the bottom left-hand corner, it looks like, out into the abyss. I guess he's going to try to send it around the very long way. We can see the green rally, although it just disappeared there, so it looks like Dox reset it. But he's going on a mission, man. Very innovative playstyle here. I mean, I guess it's not super innovative, but so far it's been pretty creative. And the Widow Mines right now just being used defensively. I think if Dreadlord hadn't gotten his reactor blocked, he probably would have sent those Widow Mines out on an offensive mission, but seeing as how they were blocked, now he doesn't really have the time to get them out anymore right away, so he's going to play more defensively with them. So you can see how the pylon block has really hurt the Terran player. And we do have a Gateway and Robo on the way, so we will have observers coming out pretty soon here as the Moko makes its way into the main. And Oracle beginning to, what is it, repulsor the SCVs? Gonna get 1 SCV kill. Gonna get 2 SCV kills. Gonna get 3 SCV kills. No, actually the third one not gonna go down. There we go. So Oraku doing a pretty good job, Dox, excuse me, doing a pretty good job here and forcing the Widow Mines from the front door back home. And you do not want to keep a Mothership Core next to a Widow Mine. The core can actually survive 1 no! I was just saying the core can survive 1 detonation, but no, that didn't work out too well. The core normally can survive 1 because the Widow Mine only does 160 damage, but that Mothership Core had already been weakened somewhat, and so that Mothership Core did die, so we do have Moko 2 coming out for the replacement. Interesting Widow Mine placement at the bottom. Oh, I love this. Now, oh, okay. So Dreadlord was going to try to get up with the Widow Mines and bait the enemy units next to the mines over here. Or he's going to get up with the Reaper and bait the enemy units next to the mines. And that would have been a really creative play. But unfortunately, that Reaper did go down. And I'm just showing you the HP here and the shields. 160, 130, so a total of 190. And the Widow Mine only does 160, so it can survive 1 hit, but it will not survive a double whammy there. And it looks like 1 observer just checking the bottom left here, checking for Widow Mines. Good scouting presence from Dox. He actually needs to go ahead and send 1 over here too, because a lot of times Terran players will dig their Widow Mines and just leave them hidden behind the mineral stacks. And if that happens, you know, that's pretty devastating when you start to send your probes over. We do have a hallucinated Warp Prism, and it will proc the Widow Mine. And remember, the hallucination upgrade is free now. It comes automatic on the Sentry, so that in of itself revealing the presence of the mines, and Dox is going to be able to kill them off. So very nice play. In fact, going to force Dreadlord to run away. I'm already seeing some less than common strategies so far. The Widow Mine trying to reburrow again, but unfortunately for that, the observer was overhead. And I think so far it's a very close game. It's tough to say one way or another who's ahead. I think maybe Dreadlord just slightly. He does have that macro CC in base. He needs to actually go ahead and land it down at the third, and we do have that occurring right now as the CC makes its way over. Back at home, what is Dox up to? He's making a lot of pylons. About 4 pylons coming up at once here. He's already more than generously above the supply cap, so I'm not too sure why he's making so many, but he does have Psionic Storm on the way. It looks like he's going to go for an Archon-based build. And we've seen Whiteroad use that quite a few times in PvT. It's actually really good against Terran. We've also seen Wilco do it against Terran as well on this very map. The thing about Archons is you get Archons, you get charge lots, and you know, normally it's a very effective build, period, against Terran. But it really is your only option now when you're fighting against Terran in Heart of the Swarm. You can try the standard Colossus route, but the problem with that is, you know, now that Terran usually goes mech, it's very hard to pull off. The thing though is it looks like Dreadlord isn't he isn't playing mech. He's actually just gonna go with standard bio. Obviously starting the game off with some Widow Mines. So now he's gonna make a full transition from from mech into bio. And let's not forget, man, Hellions are considered a biological unit now when they go into Hellbat mode. Essentially, they're just a glorified firebat. So, once these Hellions can transform into car mode or into battle mode, into Hellbat mode, it's going to be interesting to see how the Protoss deals with that. Normally, charge lots would be good, but not against Hellbats. We do have movement here from Dreadlord. He's making his way across the field. He doesn't have his armory yet. It's on the way, so he can't transform these into Hellbats yet. A random hallucinated Colossus, I was wondering where that was going, is going into the third here, and it's just a scouting unit. I like that. Because look at the movement of troops here from Dreadlord. He pulls everything back just due to a hallucinated Colossus, and now he's like, oh, that was fake the whole time. So that actually just bought Doc some time here to get more units on the field, and we have a lot of Templar. All of these Templars are ready for Storm. Dox has not made a single Archon out of these Templar at all, so he's gonna have like 8 Storms ready to go here. And Dreadlord, I don't know if he wants to fight against this. He's gonna have to dodge a Storm. Storm number 1 comes down, and Dreadlord gets out of the way. Now using the stim to get the rest of his troops out of there. Gonna actually fight at the choke, and he's gotta dodge those Storms. He loses the medevacs though as he's on the way out, and I really don't think he's got enough of an army to fight against this. If the Templar were not there, then sure. But with Templar and Storm, Biological just melts. It's not even fair. And, oh, Doc's going to lose Moko too, so it is now down, and he will have to make a new one. So, interesting start to this game. We don't really see Widow Mines being made anymore. I think the factories at this point are just going to be used for Hellbat production, or, you know, Hellion production, and he'll get the Hellbat upgrade. At this point, though, it looks like the factory is offline. We don't see any production from that, and a lot of Marauders coming out, along with Ghosts. So Dreadlord is sticking with the primarily Wings of Liberty style now after the HOTS opening. That Widow Mine did just kill off a probe or an observer, I'm not sure which. Either way, though, that's going to have to go down if Dox wants to get a 4th Nexus up. And what are these SCVs doing? I guess Dreadlord realizing he had more than enough SCVs. He is at 75 right now, and I guess he wants to free up some supply here. Although he's not maxed yet, so I'm not sure why you would do it at this point. That's a very weird. You know, usually you see Terran players do that when they're already maxed at 200. But Dreadlord was not, so I'm not too sure what the reasoning behind that was. As we do have a 4th CC coming in here. CC's in base as well. Dreadlord keeping a macro command center at all times, and at this point his army is outfitted with Ghost power, meaning that they will be able to launch some EMPs off, and of course Ghosts are so good against Templar, but Templar are also very good against Ghosts. It really depends on who can get the feedback or the EMP off first. And it looks like the Widow Mine's still detonating on units here. Dox needs to get his Observer down there, but at this point he might want to keep the Observer with the main army. That Widow Mine, once it comes off cooldown, it is going to be able to detonate on a lot of probes. And I don't think Dox realizes that the mine is still there. He's going to go in for the engage here, but everything is clumped up. Oh, man, great EMPs going down as feedbacks come out from Dox as well. And a couple more feedbacks on the Ghost. Very nice micro. And now a couple of storms. It looks like even though an EMP came down, Dox just had so many Templar remaining that he was able to get a couple of very good storms off. And now, finally, that Widow Mine is going to go down, but I think it took down a couple of probes before it fell. Just because it was there, and there were probes main-arding and mining all over the place. And let's just check the worker loss tab so far. Looks like so far the Protoss has killed off 12. The Terran has only killed off 5, so at this moment in time, Protoss is taking that slight advantage, but you look at the supplies and there is an astronomical difference right now. 140 under 194. I'm not sure how that computes, and you look at the resources lost, it's pretty close. But you know what? Dox has a lot of bank. He just needs to drop his money right now. He's got 2,000 and 500 gas, and even though he's very far down in supply, remember guys, he's got a ton of Templar here with energy. This is very uncommon. Most Protoss, you save about 4 or 5 Templar for Storm, you make the rest into Archons, and what Dox has essentially done here is said, screw that, I'm making 1 Archon, and I'm saving the rest of them for Storm. So as long as he spreads them out pretty well here, he can mitigate the effects of EMP Shockwave. We'll have to see how this is going to go down as Dox finally is about to get his 4th Nexus up, but the Terran is already on 5 bases. This is the 5th base here. And don't forget, man, Dreadlord is max. Doc's quickly approaching max as well. Going in with the feedbacks. Brilliant. He kills off about 4 or 5 ghosts maybe there. And now getting off more feedbacks. Oh, amazing feedbacks. And there are no more energy here in this army for EMP Shockwave. Absolutely phenomenal micro, and he still has more than enough Templar for Storm. We can see Dreadlord trying to spread to mitigate the storm damage. Storms left and right going everywhere. The perfect storm, if you will, but too much spreading from Dreadlord. And he still has a big chunk of his army still alive. And now the charge on reinforcements being called in. And I think that the Protoss will be able to push this army away. But what sick micro by both sides there. Finally, Dreadlord gonna evacuate and calling all the units inside the medevacs. But that was a sick, nasty fight. And now Doc's, you know, having so much leftover money has made a huge infantry of zealots. He needs to, I would say, at this situation, he needs more Templar, but you know what? He already has a lot of Templars, so scratch that off the standard Protoss billboard. And oh, those medevacs, they don't have enough energy to really die to a feedback, but they are pretty weak, so one good storm could just take them out. And it does look like he's trying to feed back the medevacs, but that's not really going to work, as one zealot will die to a mine. So this is an interesting and a very close game right now. I think with that last battle, Doc's taking a slight advantage. You have to remember that Dreadlord does have that 5th base mining, and the Protoss still doesn't have a 5th solution here. He's only on 4 bases. Workers identical pretty much, 78 to 70. Upgrades right now for the bio at 3-3. The Protoss ground at 1-2-2, and 3-3 is on the way. Back at home, do we have any potential tech switch from Dreadlord? It looks like he's just going to stick with Rax City. And he's thrown up a lot of CCs in the meantime as well, so he's going to convert into late-game Terran orbital mode. Now, one thing to note, though, is Terran in the very late game with this more traditional Wings of Liberty style is not as good as Protoss late game. That's kind of been the complaint in Wings of Liberty. You know, Terran late game needs more of a boost. They need more power. And I think that's one thing that might end up hurting Dreadlord here. If he stays with a biological-based play, he's going to have a hard time surviving once the Protoss army gets 3-3, because it's very hard to do. Protoss just has so much more splash than Terran bio does. And in that situation, I would say maybe, you know, make a switch into Widow Mines, get some Hellbats on the field. I'm surprised he doesn't have more Hellbats. He's only got 2 right now. For sure, more Hellbats right now would just crush the Zealots, and it gives the Terran that much necessary and needed splash damage to combat against late game Protoss. So I think at this point, certainly more Hellbats would be very much welcome, but he is already maxed, so he's gonna have to stick with what he's got at this moment in time, and trying to looks like make a bunch of orbitals up at the top as Dox is making his way into the middle. A big engagement about to happen here, ladies and gentlemen, and it's just like watching 2 huge armies on the verge of war. At any moment, hell could break loose, and it looks like we're about to see it. Both armies so big. What is going to happen? It looks like Dreadlord has the high ground here, and he cloaks his ghost, but the Observer is there, and we'll see the cloak ghost. This time the ghost get the EMPs off, but not hitting the Templar, as Dox keeps the Templars in the back, now trying to bring them in. Good storm on the medevacs. Oh my goodness! Have mercy on the Terran! The storm's just ripping through everything, and the feedback's making short work of the remaining health on the medevacs. And that army just completely obliterated by Dox. Unbelievable. Now realizing that, hey, that army was scary close to coming in and sniping my Nexus. I need some cannons. I'm surprised that Dreadnought didn't use his mobility. He was on the high ground. He was right here. He could have ran up here and sniped this Nexus, and he could have escaped out this way. I think that's what I would have done as a Terran player. You have great mobility with Bio, and he didn't really make use of it there. Instead, he tried to stay and fight against Storm, and perfect storming as well. And I think at this point, Dreadlord's got to realize, okay, Bio not going to work here. I need Hellbats, I need Widow Mines, units that aren't so susceptible to Storm. And here we go, man. Dreadlord gonna try to take this expansion. He's expanding up here at the same time, so he's taking both. But I don't think he's gonna be able to claim this as the Nexus is already here. Sorry, Command Center, but the real estate is taken. And these SCVs now gonna try to make a hightail to the north, presumably for this expansion. But I don't know how many are gonna make it out alive. It looks like a few will, as this Command Center will be left behind for spotting purposes, I guess. And that Command Center will go down. I just gotta say, I love the composition by Dox. You know, Templar, Archon, Charge Rot, majorly just a Templar-based army. And so far, you know what he's done best? He's kept his Templars away from the Ghosts, and he hasn't let them be EMP'd. Really good job so far at that. And the trick to that is you need to have a lot of observers with your army, because Ghosts do cloak. And, you know, that Silent Assassin can come in and take out all your Templars. So he's keeping observers overhead, and he's keeping his Templar fresh. Very, very smart play so far. Dreadlord right now making a lot of Ghosts. My God. It looks like he's just going to stick with a massive Ghost army here. Cybernetics warfare, if you will. And we'll see how effective this is going to be. The Mine takes out the Observer, though. And now Dreadlord says, all right, Observer down. Going to go in with my Ghost. But there's another Observer back here. Comsat going down to check if there's an Observer nearby. And I don't think he sees that Obs. No, he doesn't. So at this moment in time, he doesn't know that there's an Obs nearby. That Comsat will reveal the Obs, though. Huge plays right here from Dreadlord, and I don't think there's any Observer nearby, but the feedbacks are too pro, and I guess there is an Observer nearby. So that's how he saw the Cloaked Ghost, and now Dreadlord realizing, oh God, oh no, you saw my Cloaked units, you bastard, you had another Observer nearby. And now Dox, I think, will take the victory. More feedbacks coming down. Wow, what an amazing game of Heart of the Storm there from Dox, now recycling all of his Ghosts into Archons, and these Marines will take forever to kill off this many morphing Archons. He's going to instead go for the Colossus. He gets one kill, but at this point, Terran needs to re-max quickly, and the problem is he might have a big bank, but you know, Terran production takes a lot longer than Protoss Warp in, meaning that if Dox wanted to, I think he could kill off a base very easily with the army he's got right now. But it looks like he's going to fall back and not going to press the issue. So he's going to play safe rather than sorry. And I think that gives Dreadlord a chance to get back into the game. But I'm looking back at the top right, and just look at the bank from our Red Protoss. 7K, 3K. And we've got to remember, with this many warp gates as well, it's like having that bank on the field instantaneously. So I think at this point Dreadlord is in a tough spot, man. He's gonna actually, not sure what he's trying to do here with this army. This is very bold and risky. Now the switch into Colossus is on the field too, so I think Hellbats earlier on would have been useful from our Terran player. I think going in that last fight, and it was smart, man. He tried to go in under the assumption that there was no Observer nearby, and so he went in with all the Cloaked Ghosts, and he was trying to EMP the Templar. If he got the EMPs off the Templar, that last battle could have been completely different. But unfortunately for him, he didn't realize that there was another Observer nearby, even though he took out two. And with that third Observer coming in, the crucial third Observer, that allowed Dox to get the feedbacks off on the Ghosts, and that completely changed the landscape of that last battle. Really good micro here. This is top level stuff. We have a fleet beacon on the way from Dox, and I guess he's gonna try to go for I don't know, maybe Tempest with the massive upgrade, or a mothership, probably a mothership, or carriers. Carriers are always good stuff, good things to watch. We have probes making their way over here. I think he's just throwing away extra probes at this point. He's got 91. He knows he needs a bigger army. And he's going to go ahead and send him up here for the feeding cavern. The planetary fortress will make quick work of probes. And yeah. So that planetary fortress is going to rack up a couple of more moral kills there. Style points, if you will. And 20 kills so far on that PF. But really that helps the Protoss because he's just clearing supply for more units, and we can see what does the probes transform into after they die. They become Templar, and the Templar become Archon. Oh, actually this is going to work out pretty well for Dreadlord because, of course, when the Templar first come, they don't have enough energy for Storm. And I don't think Dox realized at that moment in time when he started warping the Templar in that the army would be there that quickly. And Dreadlord, with a very lucky stroke of brilliance and luck, is going to be able to take out a Nexus, but now he's cornered. He's got to get out of there. Oh, this is just terrible. He needs to escape, run out with the medevacs. And oh my goodness, he just lost his entire army. And while the supplies might be close right now, you got to remember the bank of the Protoss. And look at how quickly the Protoss is coming back up to near max as Dox gets the Gravity Sling upgrade for the Tempest. And now Gravity Sling, I believe, gives Tempest extra damage to Massive. So very weird game right there. I think Dreadlord had an opportunity. He might have missed it. He should have taken out the Nexus and then escaped with the medevacs and just got out of there. And granted, he didn't have enough lifeboats for everybody, but still, it would have been nice to save some of his units. But now at this point, this Protoss army is pushing, and this is a huge army, man. 198 supply. It looks like if Dreadlord can get some EMPs off, he might have a chance. Will he be able to? There we go! Money EMP goes down, but the Colossus take out all the bio support, and Dreadlord doesn't have anything left here. Even though the Templar Storm threat has been mitigated, I guess now Dox is just going to say, screw it, I'm going to make him into Archons. So really, Dreadlord just, I don't think he's got enough of an army to fight this off. That's the bottom line. And he has so much gas, but he doesn't have enough minerals. We'll see what happens. Maybe he can make a last stand somewhere back here, but then you got to remember Protoss has, just look at the bank, man. That is just way too crazy of a bank. And of course, this planetary fortress is now down. I don't know. I don't know if these two are planetary fortresses, maybe, but too many orbitals here from Dreadlord, and now going in with the air, gonna get easily taken down by the Archon Ball, and trying to spread his SCVs out for the optimum repair, and gonna try to use his buildings as well, and this choke, I suppose, to give him the best edge. But this is a bleak situation for our Terran player. And I think Dox in the next few moments is going to win this game. 4 Tempest on the way as well, and you know, quite honestly, there is nothing here that can, at this point, just without the Tempest, it's already a scary enough army. You add in the Tempest, that's like the whipped cream on the cake. So, do you put whipped cream on cake? It's like the whipped cream on the, I don't know, donut. It's the topping, the ice. And Dreadlord gonna come in here with couple of biological forces, but the photon cannons are too much for him to deal with. 99 supply now to 196, and barring any huge miracle, I guess this game has ended already. You know, I hate to say that when I cast games because, you know, I try to keep it as close as possible, but you know, barring a huge miracle, I don't think Dreadlord can win this game, just being totally honest with you guys. We'll see, though. Still hanging in there. Even if he gets this base down and he starts mining it, he really doesn't have that much money to work with. The patches are almost all but dry, and he's already dried out this patch over here. So really, his biggest starvation now is minerals. It's not gas. He has more than enough gas. That's why he's making such a ghost-heavy army. But you know, we'll see. He's dropping meals down right now. Gonna try to take down the rest of the mineral patches, but the Protoss army is coming, and they want to claim this vacant lot for themselves as the small ragtag band of Dreadlord comes in. But oh, the splash, the Archons, the Tempest, the Colossus, the Bio just has no chance at all. And Mule, run away! Oh, he's gonna try to steal the money, and not give it to the Protoss, that's actually not a bad idea. You know, what else are you going to do at this situation? Permanently take the money, might as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is about to be GG, I would assume. At any point here, Dreadlord just holding on here, trying to make a game of it wherever possible, but I think as soon as he loses this base and loses this last battle, that'll probably be it. I'm looking at the supply, 92 to 192. You know, the only hope that he's got here, EMP the entire army, catch the observer, and kill off the army with Cloaked Ghost. But, I mean, what blue hell will that ever happen? Not even in the deepest of blue hells will that ever happen. So, I don't know. He did get a good EMP off right there. And he's got a lot of Vikings. Takes off one Colossus. And now the big last battle has occurred. And look at how fast the bio just melts to Archons, doing 47 damage to biological. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is GG. So I would say 35-minute, very good game. Last few minutes, obvious who was going to take the victory, but still a good one for the first 35 minutes. I guess if, like, you could make the analogy, first 3 quarters of the game, very good. Last quarter, a blowout. But there it is, ladies and gentlemen, a great Heart of the Swarm matchup. I want to give special thanks to Maynard for making this replay possible and getting me some of the top Australian replays. And congratulations, Docs, on your hard-fought victory. See if we can get some more good replays in Heart of the Swarm for you guys, as well as Wings of Liberty in the near future. And I hope you guys enjoyed the cast. This is HD StarCraft, signing out.